Hello and welcome to the Life Multiplied podcast. Jacob, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and then just maybe share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. My name is Jacob Bickett. All my friends call me JB. I'm currently a finance analyst with State Farm, working on expense allocations in the financial operations department. I'm a former Illinois Wesleyan graduate, just graduated this past May. Yeah, Bloomington-Normal resident here almost my entire life. So, yeah, happy to be on today.
I was just going to ask you, I didn't know if you were from here, if you were born and raised here. So can you just share as, what they call like a townie, a local,
Yeah.
what led you to choose going to Illinois Wesleyan? I'm curious because, once you're in high school and you graduate, you're like, I got to get out of this town. So like, what made you pick Illinois Wesleyan?
Oh yeah, I fell into that. I thought I was gonna go far. I applied to like 13 different universities, got accepted. And I was all over the place. I basically had like this map and it was like a 3-hour radius. I think the furthest I went was like Xavier College out in Cincinnati, or Miami, Ohio, I think were the two furthest that I actually applied to and got into. And I was applying all across the board. I was looking at all these different kind of things and it really came down to I knew I didn't want to go too far. I'm very close to my family. And so that's a
Okay.
huge priority for me. I wanted to be home for Christmas. I wanted to be home for Thanksgiving and knew I needed to be close. I have a younger sister and wanted to be there for those moments. I didn't know at that time that I wanted to be in town, so I was looking. I think what stood out about Illinois Wesleyan was quite a few different things. They have an excellent business program. I actually had one of my old basketball coaches was a alumni of the university in the finance world. And so he actually, I just asked him, like, hey, what did you kind of prepare for? Like, how did this experience at Illinois Wesleyan prepare you for the real world? And gave me awesome examples about his in-class experience applied to like his day-to-day job. Like he was a portfolio manager at the time. Now he manages those other people and just talked about how awesome it was and how much it really prepared him for the world. There was another family friend of ours that really put it very clear. Illinois Wesleyan graduates are very exceptional, very well-rounded thinkers, and that when there's a array of applications in front of them, the ones from Illinois Wesleyan get moved to the top. And can personally speak to that in my own recruitment process for State Farm that is the case, and I found that to be incredibly helpful. And I think the final thing that Illinois Wesleyan does incredibly well is their alumni network. Now, I already mentioned I already talked to two alumni that I knew personally, but the university connected us before I ever laid down a dollar or said I was going to go there. They connected us on a Zoom call with Burke Nihill, the president of the Tennessee Titans. And we got a chance to ask him questions to learn about his experience. And so that was really powerful that if you're going to take some barely, high school kids and let them talk to somebody with all this incredible experience and working for, world-class organization, that's what Wesleyan could bring that the other universities could. So I had a chance and those combination of factors really just made it set aside. And I already love Bloomington. And so I think that chance to be able to stay here as well and be able to stay in my hometown community, but know that I had this new circle of people supporting me, that's really why ultimately I chose Wesleyan.
Those are great reasons. So
Yeah.
that is if I didn't know that that was a thing, but I mean, great selling point for that. That's awesome.
Yeah. They do a
So
great job.
yeah. So when you think back on your time at Wesleyan, are there any specific people or experiences that kind of shaped you to go into the real world, I guess you would call it?
Yeah, for sure out here in the real world now, I gotta pay taxes and everything. And there's an endless list of people that I could point to and that shaped my experiences. There's a lot of mentors that I had, incredible professors, incredible organization advisors. My thing, I got involved. That's really what shaped my experiences. I joined student organizations and those were the experiences that shaped me. I became a member of my student government all 4 years. I joined my fraternity and became a member all 4 years. I was part of other business organizations. And those experiences and those communities really set the stage for what would happen post career. And
Okay.
because I learned from other people, I learned how to work with other people. And then on top of it, I learned responsibility, how to read an email, taking care of my to-do list, right? Making sure I showed up for the right times on things and then how to have fun. That was the other part that I just got to meet people and got to get out there and got to go to things and try new things and those were really transformative experiences and on top of there's some specific people that I got really fortunate to connect with. I always got to know my professors. And so I have a handful
Mhm.
of professors that I still talk to that were really transformative in my own academic experience. But I knew if I, for some reason, needed something, I could pick up the phone today and I could call them because I was the one that stayed after class and introduced myself to them. I went to their office hours. I got to know them personally. And so building those relationships helped me develop who I am today, but also would help me in the future if I ever needed something. And on top of it, yeah, like I mentioned before, we had really great advisors, really awesome people in the Office of Student Life that helped us leaders in those organizations keep them moving forward. And even to the Dean of Students office, I have really great relationships there that really help transform me.
Yeah. So you would definitely say if you were to give advice to somebody who, is going to Wesleyan or looking to go there, like getting involved would probably be top priority for them to kind of make the best out of attending Wesleyan.
Absolutely. And anybody going into college or really anywhere in life, you need to say yes to things. And my motto that I'm trying to live through is say yes and then figure out, okay, how is this going to fit in everywhere else to make sure I manage my own life, my own sanity, and my own health. But to say yes to things that you've never tried before, to really push yourself and get out of that comfort zone and say yes to, hey, we want to go out and do something with our friends or do this and do that. That was one thing that looking back at my college experience, I wanted to soak up spending that time with friends or trying those new things or pushing myself out of my comfort zone that I kind of did more towards my senior year and appreciated, right? Go to the theater performance, go try things you don't normally do too, to experience those things and say yes and go. And those spend those resources, your time, your money on experiences and put those things forward and really get out there.
Yeah. Okay, great. Then can you kind of just walk us through like what was your first step after graduating Wesleyan? Had you had a job lined up? How did you connect with the job that you maybe now have? Can you kind of share that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I got connected very fortunately with our career center at Wesleyan. They do an awesome job. And so I got there early. One of the biggest things that helped me was as a freshman, I attended the career fair. I knew I was never going to get an internship or a job immediately as a freshman. I wasn't looking for that, but I was
Sure.
looking to be less intimidated by those people who were displaying their job, right? How do you approach them? What kind
Mhm.
of conversations are happening around me? And the fact was, is I kind of just got over that fear immediately that these are human beings sitting and talking with you. And, okay, I need to know, dress up nice. Okay, have your resume paper, like those things that I wouldn't have thought of ahead of time. Okay, make sure we have those. And so that set me up to be comfortable with, first of all, meeting the people who run the Hart Career Center, then understanding what recruiters are like, what kind of questions are going to be coming down the line. And I got really fortunate when I met with the Hart Career Center folks that they helped prepare me, to build my resume, to help to build
Mhm.
out okay, well, this is the potential things you might be interested based on your major, right? Based on your interest, what kind of areas you want to work in, what kind of preferences you have. Help me think through all of those things. Help having that advisor there on the other end to ask you those questions you wouldn't normally think of. That's really what set me apart. The following year, my sophomore year, I attended the career fair again. Illinois Wesleyan puts on a huge one. I think now they put
Mhm.
on several throughout the year, but there was one really big one. And then afterwards, I fortunately I set up an appointment with the person that was advising me for my the career office. And they were okay. Tell me how it went. Who stuck out to you? What kind of conversations do you have? And as I was going through the list of companies, I was kind of just talking about it generally, and he actually directly mentioned it, and he said, "Hey, State Farm's having these other interviews. I would like to get you in that pool and to have a conversation with a recruiter." Little did I know that I was actually sitting down for a full interview, and that turned into a full-time internship offer in that conversation. And so, luckily, that person at the Hart Career Center knew the recruiters from State Farm. The recruiters from State Farm were previous alumni of the university, and looking back, there's only a handful of universities that State Farm actually attends to, that actually attends their career fairs. The majority of it is online application. So I had no idea that this network of alumni set me up for an in-person interview that helped cut through all of the noise of an online application. There was over 1,700 people applying for the position and department that I'm currently in. And so it all started with that conversation and that network, and that's how networking happened. And bada bing, bada boom, I got an internship. Now, I worked incredibly hard for that internship, and that led into a part-time position, and then that part-time position led into a full-time internship, and then that full-time internship ultimately led into another part-time with a full-time offer coming, and that's what I took up this past May, and that's where I am today.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so let's get into that. Can you share what you do at State Farm and maybe just a day in the life?
Absolutely. So I work in financial operations, and I primarily work in our accounting function underneath financial operations. My day to day that I do varies. Every single day looks a little bit different, mainly because we're answering a lot of questions. So I work in expense allocations. So I have to have a very deep understanding of what are the company's expenses, and my day to day moves with the day to day of the entire company moves with, right? What new initiatives are we going to take? Guess that's going to cost something. And so we need to understand of how, right, that those expenses are going to be rolling through. Now, why does that matter? So State Farm is made up of the entity, the whole operation company, and then there's sub companies underneath that, the affiliates. And those companies are set up for a variety of reasons, mostly because of regulations that occur in different states or other laws we have to set up specific things to the insurance industry that are unique. And so within that structure, all of them have to report their financial statements. They have to report what kind of money that they, took in for the year and what kind of money then they spent. But for efficiency purposes, there's one, the cover company, right? The mother company, essentially, they write all the checks, right? All the expenses flow through them. So to put this in an analogy that makes sense to normal human beings, so if you, I don't know, I don't know your living situation, but if you have a bunch of roommates, okay, and you guys buy groceries collectively, you're gonna figure out, right, okay, hey, a normal way would be, hey, let's say you have 4 roommates, let's split up the expense, right? You spend $100 on groceries, we're gonna split it 4 ways, everybody pays $25. For a business, we take it a step further. We say, hey, your roommate Josh, he ate all the meat, right? And so that out of that $100, that's gonna be $60 worth of it. So therefore, Josh, because he ate all the hamburger, he should pay the majority of that money. And so the affiliate structure works the same way. Certain entities are bigger, right? Bigger in size, bigger operation. And so they're the ones that are consuming most of the resources and most of the expense are going to. Now, the big mother company, right, is going to be our biggest payer, the biggest expense that are running through there, right? Think about marketing, our huge marketing budget. You see Jake from State Farm, you see all that kind of things, right? Those things are getting paid through there, but right, the smaller company isn't worried about that kind of level of expense. And so that's what I do day in and day out, understanding and keep making sure that these smaller companies are paying their fair share. And ultimately, that data and translation is coming and running the right way and ending up on the financial statements in the right way. And so we work a lot with our budget partners and also our financial statement partners and do a variety of other making sure that system is working. And so we're always consistently maintaining, testing, and working with those partners to make sure everything runs smoothly.
I guess, like, looking ahead, you just started this full-time job, you said in May. Looking ahead, so, like, what are your maybe goals, that you're most excited about when it comes to your career with State Farm?
It's a great question. State Farm is a company that's built on helping people, of being a good neighbor. I'm really excited and energized by that mission. The more that I grow in the company and the more that I gather my understanding, the more I can help the company move forward. I'm really excited about that. And the chance to understand how this entity works. I am really curious about why does the business work? Why do, these operations work this certain way that they do? And how then ultimately does it get fueled and powered forward? And ultimately that's where finance comes in. Money is the gas of the car, right? We're set out to do something for people. We're there to be there for people on their darkest day. The more that I can learn, the more that I can grow in my career, the more I can help the company do that and help serve more people. And that's what excites me. And that's where I'm really looking forward to as I continue to learn my own role. Then whatever moves on to the future, as I can continue to help the company more with whatever skills and resources that I have. And so one of the things that you can take, right? And that's going to be coming down the line is AI. So I'm excited to see what opportunities that brings and where I can learn and help and fit that technology into our current operating structure and how the world's going to figure that out. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, that'll be exciting. You're young in your career, so there's so much ahead to look forward to, so Let's get into you're born and raised here. What do you love about Bloomington Normal? And then maybe kind of share just like if you have a different point of view from when you were younger to now, like being, on your own.
Absolutely. I love Bloomington-Normal. Bloomington-Normal has an incredible amount of, like, awesome people here, and, the incredible people that they're gonna be the ones that are gonna be willing you break down on the side of the road, people in Bloomington are gonna show up and help you out. It's the type of community where they're gonna be the ones to wait first and tell you hello or tell you good morning, and those things, until you live other places or you interact with other people, that doesn't happen everywhere. And so the way that this community looks out for each other, the people that are going to be there for you, the more and more that I get out and involved in the community, the more and more I realize that's true and people care about you on an individual level. And as I keep continuing getting older, that is more and more important. The shiny, the glittery things, that come with the big cities, that's fantastic. You can go visit those things, but when you come home at the end of the day, right, or you go to the grocery store or you do your daily commute, how are you interacting with your community around you? How are people showing up for each other? Those are the things that I really think as I got older started to appreciate and that my community showed up around me in times that I needed it most.
That's a great answer. I love that.
Thank you.
So, where are your go-to places in town? So, you know, do you have a favorite restaurant? Do you like have a favorite gym or like just like what do you like to get involved in the community outside of work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, so like, you know, obviously it's Christmas time. So like I'm just thinking about like all the local places you can go and buy your Christmas presents at. So that's where I'm trying to buy the best presents for my family, for my friends, and just really, really hyper focused on that. And what can I get like the best gifts for? And so what I found like super hidden, so like, you use this, don't tell other people, but no, I'm just kidding. Is you gotta buy beer nuts. You gotta buy a slice of Bloomington and send people beer nuts. They just opened up their corporate store, and so it's super awesome to go in there to know that it's made there in the factory, sitting out there on the shelf. It's a piece of Bloomington that you can send to folks and really bring a smile to their face. That's an incredible thing that I think every time that somebody thinks of beer nuts, you bring a smile to your face, and it's an awesome product. And so
Mhm.
I love their product and love to send it to people. And it's a great gift for the holidays. I especially love. I think my two favorites. I have a sweet tooth, and so I really love their chocolate covered peanuts as well as they have chocolate covered cashews. I don't know if you've ever had those. Really, really good. So I would highly recommend, especially goes really great with the holidays. So that's where I love to go, especially for any of my holiday shopping. I think it's something different that people don't get people normally and it's always a good one. Open it up on Christmas Day and it brings a big smile. And they will if you go in there, they'll also send it for you. You just pay the postage if you have like a distant family member or something like that. And yeah, they'll do that for you too.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. So, is there anything else you would like to share on behalf of just anything, your job, on behalf of sharing what it was like going to school here, just any advice?
I think my piece of advice would be the person who acts first. Be the person who reaches out first. Be the person who wants to seek out something first or come up with the idea or send something to the group chat. Or a lot of the times we're very hesitant on being the first ones because it's scary out there. Like you're putting yourself on a limb. I know you're putting yourself out there on a limb like every time you put out a piece of content, right? It's open to critique or other people, or you don't know what people are going to think about it. But being the first one to do something, right? Being the first one to reach out, tell your friend, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee, or hey, let's call and chat and catch up. That's something that some advice that's come and become really key with, me personally. And I think that's coming from the lens of learning from my parents and my grandparents. We actually just moved in my 89-year-old grandmother. And so one of the biggest pieces of advice that I think I've learned from her is this peace with life and that she at her age, is at peace with life and wants to just build experiences with people and just enjoy the time that she has. And that's a really beautiful perspective to go into life with. We can buy all the material things in the world or focus on whatever negative news is coming out on social media that our phones are feeding us, but to be in connection with people and to really think about, hey, like, what could I experience with other people or bring in? That's been an incredible perspective that I just try to take into my everyday life, right? Being the first one to smile at your coworker or say hello or say good morning. It's incredible what a smile can do to brighten up a conversation. One of my favorite tools that I like to use in conversations that opens people up, you start with a compliment. Hey, love your shoes today. You know, great earrings that you have. You're such a warm personality. This is awesome to be on this podcast, right? Like I had a lot of fun.
Good.
And, and I mean that, and then it brings a smile to your face and then boom, we're off and running. And
Yes.
so, I think those 3 things, if you apply that, you're gonna be a lot happier, you're gonna be a lot more fulfilled in life, and you're gonna have a lot of fun along the way.
Yes. And I mean, hey, you were the one who reached out for the podcast, so I appreciate it. Taking the first step is that's a
Only
great
because of
example.
Chloe. Chloe was the one that prompted me. I would have never reached out, if she didn't say something to me, and so also, right, keep the great people around you who are gonna push you outside your comfort zone. Because I know I wouldn't. I would I would lock at home. I would not do anything if I didn't have great people around me that, "Hey, go out and get involved," and great people around me, like Chloe. Shout out Chloe, also on the podcast. Uh,
Yes. It's important. I just want to thank you for reaching out and then just taking time out of your day today to come on the podcast and share a little bit about yourself. And I feel like you had a lot of great advice. So hopefully our listeners take some of that advice and apply it to their everyday life. But yeah, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.